Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Music of the Week. I don't really have a lot else to add about it. I've got about 6 albums to go through, so I'm going to go through them as quick as I can manage. We begin with Candy Apple and their newest album, Comatose. I think this is their second one, I could be wrong about that. This is a sort of noisy-leaning, hardcore, punky act. I'm giving this one a B+. I liked the performances and the weird factor of the album, I think, did add to the sound, but kind of take away from it. I'll get to what I mean by that in a little bit. But it's a similar vibe with that as I felt with the lyrics as well, because the main theme is about bodily autonomy and trying to, have agency of yourself, which is good, but you really have to dig to find that theme, You really have to fucking dig for the interview that actually points out what it is, because I couldn't really get that. And if that is the main theme, and it seems to be the only theme, I am a bit disappointed, like a tiny bit disappointed that they didn't go for a concept album of it, because it's named Comatose. I mean, a story from the perspective of someone who's in a coma trying to regain control of their faculties. Seems like a fucking interesting idea, but this is ultimately an interesting enough album. I like the riff work for the most part. The performances are really good. Like, I can't deny that the band really did put in the work here, and the production does highlight some of the best aspects of the album as well. I think it's probably the shining bit of the album, although the performance is really good. However, again, with that weirdness thing, it does sort of go against the pacing on occasion, and I'm not really a big fan of the fact that it doesn't really seem to know which direction it wants to take it. It feels like half the songs are going one way, and the other half are going the other, and there's only like 9 songs in the album as well, so it's uneven even in that aspect. But I don't know, I feel like it needed a bit more cohesion, or just to go completely balls to the wall, but it feels like it's trying to either contain itself too much, or like let itself go too much. It doesn't really seem to pick a good enough lane for me, but all in all, this is still really solid for this style, and a very unique and fun album to go through as well. Next, we have Courtney Bell and his newest mixtape, which they're just albums, don't at me, titled Microdose. I just realised now, by the way, that both the albums rhyme. Very different style of album, though. This is a rap effort from Courtney, produced mostly by Royce da 5'9", who I've never fully listened to, but he makes a couple of guest appearances on this album. I'm giving this one a C-, the lowest grade of the episode. Yeah, I wasn't really big on this one. I feel like the best thing about it is the production. Royce actually does a really good job there, and I think the performances are good, especially from the guest stars. I don't think Courtney himself is a bad spitter by any means, but like the other guest people, I don't remember anyone else besides Royce, but I know that there's more people besides him, including Royce, do really good jobs too, and they seem to have a really good chemistry with Courtney, which I think is really nice. I think my gripes with it come from the fact that there's too many songs that aren't long enough, so they don't really fit a good pace. The lyrics are either "look at me, I'm well ordered, look at the amount of drugs I do, or look at the amount of girls I've shagged." It doesn't really go for much depth on many of the songs. And I feel like the beats are kind of difficult to really remember a lot about. There might have been some good samples here and there, I don't know. I can't really pick up anything. It just felt like, this is a beat. Courtney's gonna say some words over it for like 2 minutes, 2.25 if you're lucky. There's not really many super long songs on this album, and yeah, I don't know. I feel like it just leans itself into some really bad tropes, but it is also Courtney's first album in a while, from my understanding. So again, kind of the benefit of the doubt in that regard. But yeah, it needed a lot more work put on it. It needed to be taken a bit more seriously. It's not a very cohesive album, but it is quite pleasant to listen to from a mixing standpoint. Next we have from Indian Lakes and their new album Head Void. This is a indie rock sort of band with like post-rock and noise and some emo elements thrown in, and apparently this is a band that usually changes up their style in each album. This is their first album in about 5 years as well. I'm giving this one a B. I thought this was really solidly handled from a musical standpoint, especially. I really liked a lot of the instrumentation, how they work in, the uniqueness of the riffs. I quite enjoy how that's done. I think the performances are really, really good, especially the lead vocalist Joey Van. I think his full name is Joe Vanucci, but Joey Van, who does the good band leader, good guitarist, and good producer as well. He knows his way around the sound that they're trying to mix, and he gets it all just right. I do think the pacing is a bit weird. I feel like a couple of songs do drag, and I think the lyrics did need a bit of work as well, because again, like with Candy Apple's album, there's good themes usually, revolving around like emotion and love and things like that. But again, the writing doesn't always readily indicate that, and it can be a bit off-putting. I didn't fully hate it. You know, I prefer how Candy Apple handled it, admittedly, mostly because they picked the more unique thing to me. But, you know, there's still some good storytelling. I just wish that the band made clear exactly what that story was from time to time. All in all, though, I did still find this to be a really ultimately charming bit of indie rock with some pretty solidly executed moments to it and really good production vibes to it as well, and some decent pacing, even though it's not the most unique thing or even the it doesn't even like fully hit all of its marks, I will admit. The experimentation that it goes for does make up for that, so I will give it credit for that. Next, we have One Step Closer and their second album titled All You Embrace. This is my first album by them. This is not a band I was familiar with, obviously, because I just said so, but I'm giving this one tied for highest grade of the episode, which is an A. I really liked this. This is some really solidly put together hardcore punk in a bit of a turnstile vibe. There's like, this is a straight edge hardcore band, which is some of my favourite hardcore if you know where to find it. And I did like the elements of like more traditional punk rock and some emo stuff that they threw in from time to time. Not really many points I have to detract it from. I guess maybe if I had to pick one thing I didn't like so much, it would be the pacing. I'll just get that out of the way now so I can talk about the positives. I actually didn't mind it. I think the melodies and hooks overall are really solid, but it ends with the wrong song. It should have ended with Giant Despair, which is the second to last track. It should have ended with that. That's the best song of the album, but still, really fucking good album. I love the themes of adversity and overcoming loss and trying to find hope through that loss. The performances are really fucking good too. The vocalist does a great job. I like the guitarist, I like the drummer. The instrumentation is just really good as well. Again, solid melodies, but with that hardcore punk edge, which I've always liked about the genre in the first place, just managing to balance that out quite nicely. Production's really goddamn good too. Yeah, I just love the mix. I love the detailing on it. And again, I don't fully hate the pacing either. I just think it ends with the wrong song. But I still think it's got some really good stuff going for it. And yeah, no, just go and check it out when you find the time. It's really, really good hardcore punk. Next is a bit of a sad one. It is Shellac with their 6th album and most likely their final one, titled To All Trains. And the reason it's likely to be their final one is because 10 days before the album came out, which would be May 7th, which is 10 days before the album came out, which was May 17th, the band's lead vocalist and longtime punk rock producer, big name in the scene, and Steve Albini, accidentally knocked my finger on the table there, passed away at the age of 61. And yeah, it is a bit sad that we'll never get to hear his style, because the production on this thing is amazing. I'm giving this an A- as well. Really loved the production. Like, Steve was just so great at it. He was a really good band leader too. He had a lot of personality to his voice and had a lot of really good like drawl and aggressive tone to his delivery, which I think was fitting. This is a sort of like punk rock band, by the way, sort of noisy-ish with some good posty elements, but yeah, that's the general style. Why do I keep hitting my finger off the table? Sorry. Who am I apologizing to? No one's going to watch this. Anyway. Yeah, Steve was a really, really good vocalist. He put in a great final performance with the band. I think he was also the guitarist as well, because I think the band also has a bassist and a drummer. I think it's only like 3 people. And yeah, really good instrumentation, solid, actually fucking amazing band work, and really good production. I do think the pacing is a little bit weird. I think some of the songs, well, a lot of the songs do actually try and fit themselves more into a storytelling thing, but the problem with that is some of the lyrics, which are a bit... They're supposed to be like esoteric in nature, which apparently has always been Shellac's thing. I wouldn't know because it's my first Shellac album, but like, I don't know if they're trying to tell a story or not. I don't know how the tone is supposed to be. I think I'm supposed to take it seriously, but there's just things that like come off as a little bit goofy to me. Like the song literally titled "Scabby the Rat." If I hear the phrase "Scabby the Rat," I just think it's a new cartoon that I should watch. That's exclusive on YouTube. You know, YouTube Reds. Ugh, yeah. No. But yeah, I did ultimately like the things I was supposed to like about the album, and I do think, well, it's not the best tribute album I've heard, mostly because the death of Steve was so close to the album's release. It would be interesting to see if Shellac do make another album without him, and do try and pay tribute to the man. Although knowing how Steve was, like from interviews I've seen about him and with him, I don't think he would appreciate that very much. But I can only hope that he's proud of the work he did of the last album he made with the band before he died. And it is ultimately a really solid album that I do recommend you check out. And finally, we have Unleash the Archers with their new album Phantoma. Now, this is a very unique album from this Canadian power metal group, and it is a unique album in the fact that it's a concept album. Mostly, it focuses on the concept of an AI named Phantom, I think it's called, named after the album title. Funnily enough, that's how it works. Sort of having been hiding in their own reality, which has been like produced for them, and I think they're actually women, but I'll refer to they then pronouns to avoid getting into trouble. And they discover the real world, and they discover that it's kind of shite, and like it's a near dystopian like sort of future thing, or a near future dystopia. Either way, giving this one also an A. Really like the storytelling on display as well. I did find it maybe a little bit difficult to follow along with the lyrics, but that didn't really matter because the delivery on those was really great. Brittany Hayes, aka Brittany Slays, absolutely slays it again on the vocals. I do like that she taps into a scream a little bit more on occasion, but her clean singing has and always will be her best point. She's really, really good at like letting her vocals truly soar when need be. Really good band work. Really good work from the rest of the band as well. Guitar work's really good. I like that there's more guitar solos. I still wish there was more on an Unleash the Archers album though, but that's just me. I enjoyed that. I quite enjoyed the lyricism, performances, and I did like the production and pacing as well. However, some of the songs are a wee bit too long, and some of the production, for my personal taste, is a tiny bit too clean. I didn't expect like this band, considering how popular they are and how well they're able to like put their sound together, to really go on like this raw guttural thing that you're not even supposed to be able to listen to coherently in terms of production. But I did want a bit more. I don't know. I kind of wanted a bit more of an organic vibe to it. And I don't know if that's because the band actually used AI a little bit for the writing and recording the album. I actually don't hate that. I think it adds a really nice layer to the theme because the album is a concept story about an AI trying to come to terms with the dystopian future of the real world, you know? And I actually don't hate that the band did that. I just wish that, like, in terms of a production standpoint, and especially a structuring standpoint, it could have reined itself in a little bit to be a bit more grounded. But as it is, it's still really solid. It's Unleash the Archers. They're a fucking good band, and yeah, another really good recommend from me. Next is the official ranking system, so I'll just get through it really quick because it shouldn't take that long. Courtney Bell with Microdose firmly at the bottom, From Indian Lakes with Head Void, Candy Apple with Comatose, Shellac with Two Old Trains, Unleash the Archers with Phantoma, and One Step Closer with All You Embrace at the top for me. But as always, go listen to all of these yourself and formulate your own opinions. As a favourite album cover, probably goes to Courtney Bell's one. I don't know what it is, but there's just something kind of cool about seeing like an actual like sort of picture of him floating above the ground as the album title is in shadow underneath him. I kind of like that. I don't know why. Favourite song is definitely Giants Despair from One Step Closer album, although Ghosts in the Mist by Unleash the Archers from Phantoma is a very, very close second. That song is really, really good. But yeah, for me it's Giants Despair from All You Embrace by One Step Closer. It's my favourite song of the past weekend, from quite possibly my favourite album of the past weekend too. That'll about do it for me as well. The next thing you'll see me for will be tomorrow night, PBW versus ABW, and again, once again, a reminder: if you are part of my EFED circles and you have a core you're okay with me using, let me know in the comments either here, DM me on Twitter, DM me on Facebook. If you watch me on Instagram, DM me on there. Just comment here on YouTube or DM me on Discord. Wherever you know where I am, just send me a message and let me know if it's cool. And I'll see you all tomorrow for that. As always, thank you for watching. You're awesome. Bye bye.